Wonderful day, wonderful day, wonderful day. This is your neighborhood sensei Fouché, telling all y'all to stay woke, but make sure you relax. Please make sure you relax and take notes. First, I want to thank all of you wonderful followers and thank you as well for welcoming my conversations into your interactions of choice. And I know I say things very specific and very poetic, you know, and that's just a part of who I am as far as trying to be very eloquent in my wording and continuing to practice a heightened level of connectivity with words. But in short, I love all of you individuals and people that come to this platform and find me interesting to follow and listen to. All music is provided by JF Winter and Nasty Noise Music Productions. The acronym is N.N.M.P. And I am going to kind of go through a more expeditious process towards entering our conversation today. I have been dealing with this extreme lower back sciatic nerve reaction. And it is a sharpening pain that is pretty consistent. And if I go into the desire of regular movement and just in simple explanation, getting up and going to get a glass of water, like the process of that is extremely painful step by step. And when I go through these situations, it's important for me to stay what we know in our conversations is present. I am interested in being happy. I am not interested in having people that have nothing to do with why I'm going through what I'm going through, giving them some negative charge to make me seem unwelcoming and uncomfortable to converse with or even greet. And since I'm definitely not interested in that, then I focus on being happy and joyful despite the pain factor and the level of how I'm feeling in the moment of a specific step. And we've been covering Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment. And this is one of many novels that I have itemized through in order to share specific passages of extreme notoriety and importance. And even if I didn't say just before, in this extreme moment of pain, I'm delighted to sit here and challenge myself through the moment to be able to be consistent in my commitment to myself first and what I told myself I wanted to accomplish in different parts of my daily applications. Because I have a lot of different parts to my day, and I am committed to these promises that I made to myself to be in extreme consistency with. And this is one of those things. I realized that I love learning, I love information, and I love probably more sharing the things that I learned with people that are extremely interested. That gives me the greatest of joy. You know what I'm saying? And in the Power of Now, we were covering chapter 8, which is Enlightened Relationships. And we were talking about the addiction and the pain processes that we go through in relationships when we are dealing with dual immature people. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be a grown up in the room, as a metaphor of common knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So, for me personally, you know, I used to be immature, extremely. You know what I'm saying? And I made a specific decision when I came out to where I reside at now in the RCSD. And when I decided to do that, moving forward in relationships and knowing who I was choosing to be, anyone that wanted to be specifically close in my relation, and when upon introduction, I basically laid out my blueprint. Moving forward beyond that point, you start questioning my integrity by stepping too close to those boundary lines that, you know, I was letting you know about initially in explaining the blueprint of who I am. And once we reach, you know, a certain point of disrespect, I immediately go into step up or step off. You know, I got to get dead serious about letting people know where that line in the sand is at. And at that point, it's like, look, it is what it is. So step up or step off. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to go through like argument stage like we both children and there has to be an adult in the room, because if you got two immature adults, that's like two children fighting against each other. It's never ending. There has to be a responsible person in order to diffuse that. You know what I'm saying? So there has to be a grown up in the room. So who's going to be the grown up? For me, I chose to be mature. You know what I'm saying? And that's just being in full circle and full perspective of the situation of now or present, and how past and future was created in order to create a gap in the present as far as the relationship, not as far as me individually in being. Like that's always in forward movement. But as far as the interrelation aspect, like there's an interruption into the now because there was a past that was created and instilled by being dismissed or neglected, and eventually that has to be finalized and spoken about. So then there's a future that has to occur in order for us to continue to progress into a continuance in relation. And I know that made sense, and if it didn't, just rewind a little bit and don't be embarrassed. And if I was off key, just check me, please, because a lot of times, my poetry, I can have an off moment, and a lot of times I just try to stay in flow. But being that we chose to keep this monologue pretty light because of the pain factor, we're going to try to move forward into our reading aspect. And that was extremely important for me to share because, now the more that I'm getting into the moment, like I'm not even thinking about my back. Like the sharp pain is not even there. All I'm feeling is the vibe of the music, the conversation, the book, the pages in my hand. I'm ready to flip through these. My eyes are ready to get glued to the page to be able to read and explore in sharing, breaking down the, specific scriptures in chapter. You know what I'm saying? And this is giving me an energy that is extremely minimizing what I don't want to feel, because I feel very well at this moment of choice because I don't want to feel bad. And I am extremely excited to now get into the reading portion of this program. So, Chapter 8, Enlightened Relationships. Subtitle and chapter, From Addictive to Enlightened Relationships. So we are trying to understand the shift into moving towards healthy relations. And again, like I said, there has to be an adult in the room, because when you're dealing with two immature adults, it's no different than two children, except they're in fully grown bodies with childlike minds. So then they're bickering in childlike behavior. But we're going to explain how that doesn't have to be. For love to flourish, the light of your presence needs to be strong enough so that you no longer get taken over by the thinker or the pain body and mistake them for who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because at this point, we trying to be in alignment with our subconscious moral self and minimize and submerge that comic con, that doofus, that character. Thank you, Packboy, for doofus. That's his term. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna steal the spotlight of the specific reference, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna shout him out. I gave the conscious con. That's my character name of choice. To know yourself as the being underneath the thinker, right? The true self instead of the gimmick, you know what I'm saying? The comic, you know what I'm saying? The stand-up comedian, the clown, the joker, the jester. The stillness underneath the mental noise, the love and joy underneath the pain is freedom, salvation to enlightenment. The true self, again, is the salvation to enlightenment, away from the pain, from the joker, from the conscious con. To disidentify from the pain body is to bring presence into the pain and thus transmute it. When you are honest into the fact that you are in misery and you know that you don't want to be that, then you have to make a deep conscious choice into change. To disidentify from thinking is to be the silent watcher of your thoughts and behavior, especially the repetitive patterns of your mind and the roles played by the ego, which are the 7 sins, the 7 covers of the conscious con, the protectors of the conscious con. If you stop investing it with selfness, the mind loses its compulsive quality, which basically is the compulsion to judge, and so to resist what is, which creates conflict, drama, and new pain. So if you don't fulfill yourself with honesty in the word selfness, and let's look that up to be extremely specific, selfness, meaning, definition, selfness. A person's essential individuality. Selfishness, self-regard. Again, a person's essential individuality, not interdependent. Selfishness, self-regard. If you stop investing it with selfness, the mind loses its compulsive quality, which basically is the compulsion to judge and so to resist what is, which creates conflict, drama, and new pain. The selfish identity continues to give you misery. First, you stop judging yourself. Stop putting yourself down. Then you stop judging your partner. Stop putting them down. Stop putting someone else down. Stop putting yourself down and then stop putting someone else down. Because it doesn't necessarily just deal with your, what would we call it? Your intimate relationship. Your most intimate. You know what I'm saying? It deals with every relationship. You know what I'm saying? Stop judging yourself and then stop judging others behind that. That immediately takes you beyond ego. There are no victims and no perpetrators anymore. Because since you're not thinking in terms of drama, you're not speaking in terms of drama, which means that you're not creating drama, and drama should not attach itself to you at all. This is also the end of all codependency, of being drawn into somebody else's unconscious pattern. Somebody finally became the grown-up, and then when you're dealing with children, then you understand that you have to speak like a grown-up and not fall back into child-to-child arguments, and thereby enabling it to continue. You will then either separate in love or move ever more deeply into the now together, which basically I said, step up or step off. Either you're going to get with the program or, you know what I'm saying, like, I could do bad by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that be your mind state. Like, I don't got no time to be arguing and dealing with this back and forth and going through this constant pain and, you know, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? I don't got no time for that. Like, I'm trying to be dealing with, you know, respectful and mature communication and understanding. Love is a state of being. Your love is not outside. It is deep within you. You can never lose it, and it cannot leave you. It is not dependent on some other body, some external form. You look beyond the veil of form and separation. If I covered this before, then we're repeating it. This is the realization of oneness. This is love. What is God? The eternal one. One life underneath all the forms of life. What is love? To feel the presence of that one life deep within yourself and within all creatures. To be it. Therefore, of all love is the love of God. Love is not selective, just as the light of the sun is not selective. It does not make one person special. It is not exclusive. Exclusivity is not the love of God, but the love of ego. There may be one person who reflects your love back to you more clearly and more intensely than others, and if that person feels the same towards you, it could be said that you are in a love relationship with him or her. The bond that connects you with that person is the same bond that connects you with the person sitting next to you on a bus, or with a bird, a tree, a flower. Only the degree of intensity with which it is felt differs. And I know we now covered this in our last conversation, but we're going to keep moving forward and lead into this thing. Even in an otherwise addictive relationship, there may be moments when something more real shines through, something beyond your mutual addictive needs. This may sometimes happen during physical intimacy again, or when you are both witnessing the miracle of childbirth, or in the presence of death, or when one of you is seriously ill. Anything that renders the mind powerless. When this happens, your being, which is usually buried underneath the mind, becomes revealed. And it is this that makes true communication possible. True communication is communion. The realization of oneness, which is love. Love cannot flourish unless you are permanently free of mind identification and your presence is intense enough to have dissolved the pain body, or you can at least remain present as the watcher. The pain body cannot then take you over and so become destructive of love. Next subtitle and chapter: Relationships as Spiritual Practice. As humans have become increasingly identified with their mind, most relationships are not rooted in being, which I said before, immature to children, and so turn into a source of pain and become dominated by problems and conflict. However, every crisis represents not only danger, but also opportunity. If relationships energize and magnify egoic mind patterns and activate the pain body as they do at this time, why not accept this fact rather than try to escape from it? Why not cooperate with it instead of avoiding relationships or continuing to pursue the phantom of an ideal partner as an answer to your problems or a means of feeling fulfilled? You need to be complete first within yourself in order to comfortably complement with another most complete person and mature processor as well. The opportunity that is concealed within every crisis does not manifest until all the facts of any given situation are acknowledged and fully accepted. That is a mature conversation into the exchange of information and agreement. As long as you deny them, as long as you try to escape from them or wish that things were different, the window of opportunity does not open up. Closed-minded is the perfect reference. When you have two closed-minded, immature thinkers or processors, there is no opening for truth and agreement. And you remain trapped inside that situation, which will remain the same or deteriorate further. With the acknowledgement and acceptance of the facts also comes a degree of freedom from them, because you are operating from what is, and you realize that they are in past and future instead of presence or now. When you know you are not at peace, your knowing creates a still space that surrounds your non-peace in a loving and tender embrace, and then transmutes your non-peace into peace. As far as inner transformation is concerned, there is nothing you can do about it. You cannot transform yourself, and you certainly cannot transform your partner or anybody else. All you can do is create a space for transformation to happen, for grace and love to enter. Again, step up or step off. So, whenever your relationship is not working, whenever it brings out the madness in you and in your partner, be glad. That's what I was saying just the other day to someone. Like, I'm happy when these things are addressed, because I know that they're not going to linger and they will move forward. What was unconscious is being brought up to the light. It is an opportunity for salvation, instead of continuing to bury yourself 6 feet beneath within the misery. If you observe unconscious behavior in your partner, hold it in the loving embrace of your knowing so that you won't react. And that's extremely hard. Unconsciousness and knowing cannot coexist for long. Even if the knowing is the only in the other person and not in the one who is acting out in unconsciousness. Again, like I was saying before, when you got one mature person and one immature, like, step up or step off. The energy form that lies behind hostility and attack finds the presence of love absolutely intolerable. If you react at all to your partner's unconsciousness, you become unconscious yourself. You fall back into that rage, that uncontrolled anger. There is no more logic in your speech. It is just all rambled babble. But if you then remember to know your reaction, nothing is lost. Relationships are not here to make you happy or fulfilled. If you continue to pursue the goal of salvation through a relationship, you will be disillusioned again and again. But if you accept that the relationship is here to make you conscious instead of happy, then the relationship will offer you salvation, and you will be aligning yourself with the higher consciousness that wants to be born into this world, which is the resurrection of your Christ, your light, your illumination, your God being. For those who hold on to the old patterns, there will be increasing pain, violence, confusion, and madness. How many people does it take to make your life into a spiritual practice? Sanity, consciousness, can only come into this world through you. You do not need to wait for the world to become sane or for somebody else to become conscious before you can be enlightened. You may wait forever. The moment you start to argue, you have identified with a mental position and are now defending not only that position, but also your sense of self. The ego is in charge. You have become unconscious. When your partner behaves unconsciously, relinquish all judgment. Judgment is either to confuse someone's unconscious behavior with who they are, or to protect your own unconsciousness onto another person and mistake that for who they are. To relinquish judgment does not mean that you do not recognize dysfunction and unconsciousness when you see it. It means being the knowing rather than being the reaction and the judge. You will then be totally free of reaction, or you may react and still be the knowing, the space in which the reaction is watched and allowed to be. Instead of fighting the darkness, you bring in the light. Instead of reacting to delusion, you see the delusion, yet at the same time look through it. Being the knowing creates a clear space of loving presence that allows all things and all people to be as they are. Step up or step off. No greater catalyst for transformation exists. If you practice this, your partner cannot stay with you and remain unconscious. Step up or step off. If you both agree that the relationship will be your spiritual practice, so much the better. Two mature, agreeable people. You can then express your thoughts and feelings to each other as soon as they occur, or as soon as a reaction comes up, so that you do not create a time gap in which an unexpressed or unacknowledged emotion or grievance can fester and grow. Giving space to others and to yourself is vital. Love cannot flourish without it. When you have removed the two factors that are destructive to relationships, when the pain body has been transmuted and you are no longer identified with mind and mental positions, and if your partner has done the same, you will experience the bliss of the flowering of relationship. Two mature-minded people in agreement. Two grown-ups are in the room. If your partner is still identified with the mind, the immature child, adult, and the pain body, while you are already free, this will represent a major challenge. Step up or step off. Not to you, but to your partner. Step up or step off. It is not easy to live with an enlightened person. Or rather, it is so easy that the ego finds it extremely threatening. Remember that the ego needs problems, conflict, and enemies to strengthen the sense of separateness on which its identity depends. The unenlightened partner's mind will be deeply frustrated because its fixed positions are not resisted. You have a grown up that recognizes the child mind. The pain body is demanding feedback and not getting it. Step up or step off. Some people who are unresponsive, withdrawn, insensitive, or cut off from their feelings may think and try to convince others that they are enlightened, or at least that there is nothing wrong with them and everything wrong with their partner. If you are mainly in your head, you need to bring consciousness into the emotional body before you can reach the inner body. If there isn't an emanation, which is an illumination or a heightenedness of love and joy, complete presence and openness towards all beings, then it is not enlightenment. It is a conscious con. Step up or step off. If your enlightenment is egoic self-delusion, then life will soon give you an enmity. Oh, my fault. If your enlightenment is egoic self-delusion, then life will give you a challenge that will bring out your unconsciousness in whatever form, as fear, anger, defensiveness, judgment, depression, and so on. If you are in a relationship, many of your challenges will come through your partner. For example, a woman may be challenged by an unresponsive male partner who lives almost entirely in his head. She will be challenged by his inability to hear her, to give her attention and space to be, which is due to his lack of presence. The absence of love in the relationship, which is usually more keenly felt by a woman than a man, will trigger the woman's pain body, and through it, she will attack her partner, or vice versa. Blame, criticize, make wrong, and so on. This in turn now becomes his challenge or hers to defend him or herself against her or his pain body attack, which they see as totally unwarranted. They will become even more deeply entrenched in their mental positions as they justify, defend themselves, or counterattacks. Eventually, this may activate their own pain body. When both partners have thus been taken over, a level of deep unconsciousness has been reached of emotional violence, savage attack, and counterattack. You have two immature people that are closed-minded, and there is no space in order to be in agreement and understand what is. It will not subdue until both pain bodies have replenished themselves, tired completely out, exhausted themselves, and then enter the dormant stage until next time. Because there's past and future. It's not resolved. It's just going to continue to fester and wear itself out over and over again. Once you understand the root of the dysfunction, you do not need to explore its countless manifestations. Every challenge is actually a disguised opportunity for salvation. Every one of these arguments is a time for there to be recognition if whoever or they choose. At every stage of the unfolding dysfunctional process, freedom from unconsciousness is possible. It is possible. It just all really depends on if you choose to continue to follow in immature thinking or start to fall in line with mature processing. You know what I'm saying? And in the aspect of the mature minded, you should understand that what is, and if someone chooses to change or acknowledge or recognize, they can do that. And if they choose not to, and you know that they won't because how these patterns continue to cycle, then at that point it's step up or step off. You know what I'm saying? And it's just simple as that. And we're just going to leave on that note. This has been a beautiful moment. I really appreciated this conversation, and the pain level in my back I felt at the beginning of the program before the recording in actual moment. I felt like at about a 7, 8, and during the whole moment of filming, I pretty much felt at like a 3 or a 2. And that is extreme focus, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say a 1 because there's always that slight little that just continues to almost feel like a butter knife just poking at the bottom of your back and your spine, just lightly jabbing it over and 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 over again. And like I said, you know, the knowledge and being present in the moment and creating a constructive distraction to continue to be in moment of what I choose instead of what I can create by festering in before and future and an unavailable future if I don't focus on the present. You know what I'm saying? So long and cutting short is this was a very enlightening moment in practice and focus, and I thank all of you for following and choosing to share co-enlightenment. It is my honor. And on that note, I'm going to end and say this is your neighborhood Sensei Fouché. You know, wish I had some more zap and energy as I usually do. But I'm always requesting for all y'all to stay woke. And always remember to relax. Get the necessary tools. Be prepared to take notes. Be smooth. 1. Tomorrow, we're going to go into our 4th conversation. So before I end officially, let's set it up, because then we're going to go into the feminine aspect of our duality, and the topic subject under chapter is going to be why women are closer to enlightenment. So officially on that note, I'm going to tell y'all to be smooth. 1.